Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Tuesday. LB is here. Dan Potts is here. It was an epic weekend of football, and I feel like everything's just starting to calm down. And that's why we're here, to kick the bee's nest again and stir it all up. Make sure like buttons are hit. Make sure you are subscribing to the Terrace. I want to apologize to the viewers. No content really this morning because YouTube, we don't really know what happened with YouTube, but it wasn't allowing anyone to upload. When you went live, it wasn't telling anybody. So, no content this morning, but we're back with you now. Hopefully you guys get your notifications and what else. But gentlemen, how are you? You both well? You both good?
Yeah,
sound, bro. Yeah, sound. Yeah, like you say, that was a bit of a madness this morning, isn't it? Like £1 billion corporation, just like it just went down, and we couldn't like get the uploads up and that. So at least it's fixed now. And I have a game later on, man. I got the watch along, and obviously you got the match reactions and stuff. So I'm glad it's fixed anyway.
I think I don't know if it's, I'm still a little skeptical as whether it's fixed or not. Because even like now, normally at the first minute or so in, a lot more people are here already. And I set this link up very early this morning. I still think there's a bit of a problem with it, if I'm being honest. I still think there's a bit of a problem with it, but we will see. We will see how it goes throughout the course of this stream, and hopefully it will pick up some pace. But no better place to start, really, gentlemen, than with the blue £1 billion bottle jobs. And Poch, he's on the edge, LB. He's on the edge of losing his job.
And rightly so. I really struggle, and it really triggers me, man. And I do get rattled about this. This manager, I just don't get it. I just don't understand why there's so many people that love to defend him. I don't understand why so many Tottenham fans still defend him. Yes, he done all right. He made Spurs a top 4 club. He still didn't win anything. Let's be honest now, if you look back at that Spurs team, it was actually mega. It was mega, and they won nothing. Oh, they got us to a Champions League final. Didn't win it, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Like, he played good football at Spurs. He did well to get them Champions League every year, but ultimately he failed. Did he get backed enough as he should have done? No, but he still should have won at least something, a Carabao Cup, anything. He didn't win nothing, man. Do you know what I mean? He goes to PSG. Doesn't really do well at PSG. If you actually look into it and do the research, it doesn't really do well at PSG.
No.
He's come to Chelsea, and let's be honest, he's got a pretty easy job. No one expected him to win the league. Some people might have had expectations on them to get the top 4 because obviously the amount of money that he spent. But what did they finish last year? Like 11th, 12th, something like that? Like, even if he would have got them up to 7th, playing semi-decent football, people would have probably gone, most reasonable people probably would have gone, well, they've got all these new players in. They've been in a bit of turmoil. He's got them from 11th, 12th, whatever it was last year, to 7th, got them back in Europe. You can see progression there. Then next season, 2024, 2025 season, then the aim has to be to at least get back into that top 4, if not challenge, because of the quality of the squad. And what's he done? He's still in the bottom half of the table, I think, or 10th or whatever. He got them to a final. Granted, they played quite well in the first 90 minutes, but then he absolutely got his tactics horrifically wrong when he took off Jackson, because that allowed Liverpool to push up the pitch and Chelsea had no runners in behind. That basically killed the game. And it's got to be one of the most embarrassing defeats Chelsea have had. Liverpool had 4 academy players on the pitch. This guy ultimately, right, no matter what you say about what he did with Spurs, if you actually look at his record, right, this guy loses the big games. Yeah? The only 2 finals he's ever won were at PSG. He lost a final whilst he was at PSG, by the way. Just put that one out there. Yeah, FA Cup, got to 2 semi-finals with Spurs, lost them both. Carabao Cup, he got to a final with Spurs, lost. He got to a semi-final with Spurs, lost. He got to a final with Chelsea, lost. Yeah, if you check his European record, equally poor. Yeah, got to a final with Spurs, lost. I got to a semi-final with PSG, lost. Yet there's people out here that want to defend this guy. And I just really, really struggle to understand why people are so quick to defend him when he's actually not achieved anything in the game. I just don't expect, and like I say, I'm not expecting this guy to go into Chelsea this year and tear up trees. Yeah, I was setting him quite low expectations. You got £1 billion squad. I'm expecting you to take the team from 10th to 7th, maybe 6th at a push. And maybe try and implement a proper style. I just don't get why people are just so quick to defend this guy when he's really not achieved anything in the game. And you've got people like Hussam trying to tell me that he's the third best manager in Europe behind Klopp and Pep.
Oh my God.
Give it a rest, man. Give it a rest. This is just him. And what about Carlo Ancelotti? What about Simeone? What about Zidane? What about these managers that have actually achieved something and have got silverware, proper silverware, and have won the most difficult leagues, the Champions Leagues? Come on, man. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It really is. You get people out there want to defend this guy. And, by the way, I'm hoping that there's not, but like it was only a year ago that there were City fans out there that wanted Poch as our manager after Pep Guardiola. Now that's pretty much gone. But if there is any City fans out there that want Poch after Pep, you need to give your head a wobble, yeah, because this guy does not achieve anything in the game.
Dan, how much of that do you agree with?
I agree with the majority of it. It's mad because Sam and I were actually going to and fro on this not too long ago, and I was with LB saying, "Look, the Poch just ain't good enough." And he sort of said to me, all right, how many of these Chelsea lot are you taking? And I struggled to answer it, if I'm honest. I struggled to answer it because the players need to hold a massive L as well, right? But if we actually look at it, whether you think it's Poch or the players or both, the whole football club is an absolute embarrassment. The whole football club have spent over £1 billion in the last few seasons, and they look absolutely dreadful. In terms of their mentality, in terms of their quality, in terms of the playing staff, in terms of the ownership structure, in terms of the board and the togetherness and the understanding of how to put a team together to win something. This has been how not to run a football club by Chelsea. This is what it's been. And I can't compare it to anything, Tel. I laughed when Tottenham wasted the Gareth Bale money and 95 million. We all did. This is a different level. This is like this times 10. This is a squad that they've wasted, not just a few players that we can laugh at trying to replace Gareth Bale. This is absolutely embarrassing what we're seeing. Now, in terms of Pochettino, when he was at Tottenham, I thought he did a good job. But I didn't think he did a world-class job. I didn't think it was elite management. I thought he did a good job. He got he got Tottenham to a Champions League final, and he allowed them to compete. When you look at, like LB says, at what the squad was doing and what the team was right there, it was actually quite a good 11. It wasn't a world-class squad because that's what let them down, essentially. But actually, the first 11 was pretty good. But it still come third in the league when it really should have been competing with Leicester. Arsenal allowed Arsenal to come second that season, because they bottled it at the end. And like LB is just given, I'm not going to repeat what he said. The guy has failed in pretty much a lot of stuff that we need him to do. So a lot of Tottenham fans got really, really like gassed and got really overexcited about it and over-hyped how good he was, I feel. And now it's being proven. He's gone to Chelsea. I don't quite know what he's trying to do with some of the tactics. I have no idea what he's doing with some of the positions he's putting players in. So some of that definitely you can come under criticism with. But actually, let's look at that side. How many of them are you having? Not many. There ain't many you're looking at going, God, I'd love him at my club. He looks a baller. I mean, look at this talent. He looks absolute. There's not many. And I like Caicedo, and I think Enzo's a good player. But right now, they ain't showing it. Yeah. Mudryk, what is he, please? What is that thing? What is that? That is not a footballer. Well, apparently he's better than Martinelli, according to Don, from what I hear. I mean, this is me and Don will be having words, man. I'll tell you this now. Because if that is better than Martinelli, he needs to look at his actual ball number.
I love Don to bits, but Don is as delusional about Chelsea as Ty is about Arsenal. And it all comes from a good place.
It does.
But it is blind love. It is absolute blind love and he's really smart with it, Don, because he'll never say the words Mudryk is better than Martinelli. But he says everything but that. But everything, but he alludes to it and applies it all the time. Exactly. And it's. I agree with you. Look, on the players, I think there's a number of those youngsters that are either not as good as we thought or are not cut out for the Premier League. Of course, you have to look at the manager and the system and the structure at the club. I'd be a hypocrite to say this, ignore that, and just focus on the players because the club has been run. And I thought they were getting some things right with who they were appointing. I thought, oh God, they must know what they're doing. And they're taking all these experts from all these clubs that are doing so well. But they've almost tried to mix the kind of Leipzig, Brighton approach, but throw big money at it. And you couple in the expectations of Chelsea and the whole thing has come crumbling down. But on Poch specifically, and this is not defending the players or the way the club is run, I did expect them to play better football, more consistent football. The question marks were whether or not he could win. I don't think even the biggest detractors of Poch believe they would play this badly. And yes, there's moments in the game where they do some good things, but I'm starting to believe more and more that's the quality of some of these young players as opposed to Poch's system. that extra time period, I'm still angry about it. I'm not a Chelsea fan, but it made me angry. I looked at it, and I think Gary Neville has summed it up brilliantly on his podcast last night. And I think it's probably easier to speak about than we all went live straight after the game. But he said he was looking at it from the perspective of someone that's been a pro, who was young. And what you tell young players and what you tell teams is you seize moments, you seize opportunities. You go out there and you walk away with no regrets. And if Chelsea attacked Liverpool and lost on the counter, they went for it. It's the fact they sat down, they laid on their back, they got their bellies out, and they let Jurgen Klopp tickle it. That, for me, just as a sporting person, as a football person, I find it infuriating. And I think that's a outright sackable offense. It should have been, I wouldn't have even allowed him to collect his loser's medal. I would have said, you're done now. We'll pay you extra to not even take that medal. Get out of the stadium. Get an Uber back to wherever it is you live. I don't want you in this football club. The weak mentality demonstrated by him, Chelsea haven't been accustomed to that. Even though they weren't winning league titles, they were winning trophies my whole life. Chelsea had. They've always been a team that's tried to win. They've always been a team that's gone for it, whether they were good enough or not. Watching that was an absolute abomination. And I'm taking nothing away from Liverpool because they deserved it. But that extra time period, I think, is going to haunt Chelsea. I agree with Jamie Carragher. I think the big blue £1 billion bottle job tag, I don't think that's leaving them for a long time. Well, until they win, this group wins a major trophy. It won't just, and it's too much of this current group go. That's going to, just like the Spice Boys, as Jamie Carragher pulled out from the 90s, it's never going to go away. Never going to go away. I think it was that much. It's a weird thing. We've all seen our teams get slapped. I've lost 7-0, I've lost 6-1 to City. We've seen Arsenal take beatings. I feel like what they did is almost worse. Something about it just feels worse to me. Because you had it in your hands and you just went, there you go, Liverpool, you have it. It was a madness to me. It's crazy.
It is one of, if not the most embarrassing final performances, particularly extra time performances I've seen. You can forget the missed chances that happens in games. Yeah, trust me, I know about that. Even up to the last few weeks at Arsenal, when we were missing chances ourselves and frustrating ourselves, they missed a hell of a lot of chances, Chelsea. But that extra time performance was a shambles. And his interview at the end, well, you know, playing for penalties and all this. I'm sorry, if that's me and that's my manager saying that, I'm done, man, and I want him gone. And I just think, for me, that there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are hoping, not believing. They're hoping that the money that they spend is just going to one day come good. They'll spend their way to the top. But you got to have a plan, man. The people in charge of this football club are a mess. And I just can't understand fans like Don and some of the others. Not just Don, by the way. I'm not piling on Don, because I love Don, but you've got to just wake up sometimes and go, do you know what? Maybe some of these players aren't as good as I thought. Maybe this manager ain't as great as I thought. And maybe this process is just not going to work by throwing money at it. Because look at what money Man United and Arsenal have spent. You look in the last decade at what we've won and look at what we spent. It don't match up. Yeah, so it ain't about Chelsea spending their money to the top, because sometimes that don't work. So for me, if I'm a Chelsea fan right now, I'm scratching my head, seriously worried, thinking, how are we getting this club back to what it was? Because this last 2 decades, wow. I wish I would have, appreciated it a bit more, because it ain't going to be around the corner, I don't think, for Chelsea anymore.
Do you know what's really funny? I was saying for years, even at the end of the Roman era, spending without a real structure and a plan is no good in the modern era, because everybody's got money now. And when they first got new owners and they kind of outlined their plans, and it was to keep spending like Roman, but to have a really solid structure. Again, on paper, I was like, that's what a worry to me, because if Chelsea spend like Roman did, but with a modern day plan where there's a club philosophy and a style of a type of player and a particular type of manager, as opposed to just having the most, essentially when they could spend unlimited, Chelsea, they put together one of the most amazing cores in British football history with your Czechs, and Terry was already there, but they, Lampard, Drogba and the like. They put together this brilliant core. And that saw them right through pretty much until they won their first Champions League. And a lot of people never do this. If you look at all of Chelsea's trophies under Roman and look at how many were won before FFP came in and how many were won after FFP, there is a clear divide. The fact they haven't challenged for a league title now since 2000 and was it 17 when they last won it? 16, 17? They haven't challenged for a league title in the best part of a decade. It is crazy. So I think Chelsea fans are struggling, especially some of the younger ones, because they've only ever known Chelsea to be brilliant. And the way like Ches and I get you defend your club, but the way like Ches and Don and a lot of Chelsea fans that come on talk about their club still, it's like, bro, you ain't that team anymore. That isn't you anymore. You're not them guys. And you sort of laughing. I know you can always laugh. Again, you can always criticize other clubs. If you're on a show like the Terrace, where we talk about other teams, just because your team's doing crap doesn't mean you can't criticize another team. But I do think you have to hold back on the banter to a certain degree, because it only really works if you're in a position of kind of like in a position of authority from a banter hierarchy. But the way they kind of talk about other clubs, I'm like, but equally always defend their own to the hill. I find, and it isn't just those two, it's across the board. And I think some Chelsea fans still think they're in the Roman era and it's all going to be okay soon. And they might in the summer buy 2 or 3 experienced players, bring in a new manager and recover from this position. But if they don't get it right this next time and they spend big how they did, with all the financial issues that all the financial experts keep telling us about, I don't know how they recover, especially with City, Liverpool, Arsenal all being run so well and being rich. Spurs right now, question mark still whether they'll continue to improve. You've got the Villas and you've got Newcastle had a poor year by the new standards they've set, but Newcastle's owners ain't going away. This isn't that they're going to have one bad year and disappear. Like, it's going to be hard for Chelsea, genuinely, if they don't get it right this summer. And I think they've got to sack Poch. Who do you boys think they should go for next? Who do you think is the right guy there, LB?
Here's the problem, Terry, because I agree with what you just said, but the type of, this is just my opinion, the type of manager I think Chelsea need is an authoritarian. Yeah? Someone like a Mourinho, someone like a Simeone, that type of manager. Because I think it needs a manager to go in there and really, really be able to control those players. Yeah. And let's be honest as well, I think actually something that maybe they've missed here, the board, is when you buy young players, they're probably harder to control because they're at the start of their career. The 29-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, they're probably like, well, I need to, chill out a little bit because my career is, going to be ended in a few years. I'm going to be retired, so I'm going to really focus. I think it needs a real authoritarian manager to go in there, like a Simeone, like a Mourinho. The chat will probably have a few other names like that as well, to be able to go in there and control those players and to be able to have the personality and the authority to say to players, yeah, you're not good enough. You need to do this. We're going to ramp up training, whatever it is. And it also, I think, needs a manager to be able to go into there until the board structure is fully right at Chelsea. And probably only Chelsea fans will probably know what's going on there, because obviously we're probably not that in the know about it. To be able to stand up to the board, which rumour has it, that's what Tommy Tuchel did, and obviously ended up getting fired. They're going for these yes men managers like the Graham Potters, like the Pochettinos. These are not managers that are going to stand up to the board because they don't have the authority. You think Pep Guardiola would accept what happened at Chelsea? You think Jurgen Klopp would accept what happened at Chelsea? No, they wouldn't have accepted it. They would have told the board, no, this ain't happening. So, but here's the problem. The type of manager that I think they need, like the Simeone, let's just go with Simeone, right? If they were to get a Simeone, he's probably not compatible with the board. Are the board going to accept what he says? Are they willing to listen to these type of managers, these experienced football guys who know what they're talking about? And it's quite evident that the people that Chelsea have don't know what they're doing.
And do you know what, LB? What they're doing, these owners, and it's a real bad advertisement for American owners. There's so many similarities to the Glazers. Now, they haven't lumbered the club with debt because they couldn't buy it with debt. Who knows what they would have done if that was still within the rules of the game. But it's the yes men approach. It's the, how are you continuing to make these mistakes? Yes, Todd Bowley has taken his name officially off of the paperwork when it comes to being the kind of sporting director. But what's changed? It still feels like he's got that control. Man United have changed a number of things at the club up until now, but it was run in the identical way. Every new manager that came in was a yes man for a certain period. Then as soon as they challenged or tried to fight back, they got removed. You had Ralph Rangnick that came in who spoke really candidly and honestly. And between the board and the players, they all just went, nah, sod this. And he got like booted away and out the football club. And ironically, the new ownership have had a meeting with Ralph Rangnick to get his take on what's going on at the club and to get his views. And what Chelsea need here is a little bit of, it may not be open heart surgery right now because they're only 2 years into this, 18 months, 2 years. it's rectifiable. We're 17, 18 years into a mess, but they need that keyhole. They need a stint. You know, I'm talking heart surgery here. They need a stint. They need a little bit of keyhole surgery. They need something to happen to relieve this pressure. And I think that Todd Bowley and co, they are the real underlying problem at this football club. They just have to be, because you spend £1 billion. You go through 3 to 4 managers when you include the interim period, and not improve one little bit. That has to be to do with how you're being operated at the sort of the root level, Dan, surely.
Listen, the reason Terrible Todd, as I call him, is a nutter is because when you take over a football club, and you look around you and you think, right, I don't have the money that Man City, Newcastle, Liverpool, United and Arsenal do. So I'm going to have to build a project that's a youth project that I believe will be around for 3-4 years. That's going to grow together. I ain't going to be competing with them for a couple of years. I don't have the money to. I don't have the money to go and get a win now manager and a win now team. So I'm going to have to build from it. This guy has not got that. This guy has got all the money in the world. So why has he gone down this route? Because he could have got Diego Simeone, Hans Flick, Carlo Ancelotti, Jose Mourinho, a Thomas Tuchel type manager in. Yeah, to say to him, who he had, by the way, let's not forget, he had Thomas Tuchel when he arrived, and said, right, win me something in the next 2 years because I want you to build this. So it's an absolute shambles at the moment. I want you to go and bring a squad of players that in the next 2 years can go and win us something. Hello, Little Ern. Hello, Little Ern. That's where I'm at. So, Go on. Hello. How you doing?
Hello, Dan and LB.
Hello, darling.
Yo.
You should take over from Daddy, I think.
You want some chocolate?
Say
Some
pot
chocolate.
chat. Pot chat.
Say potch out. Say potch out.
She
Say
don't
pot
agree.
chat.
Say potch out, you mug. No, don't say that. You're getting That's chocolate. There
Sorry,
you
man.
How cute, man.
go.
Daddy's nicking your chocolate. That's not good.
Right, have fun.
So when I look at it, I honestly believe that is why this guy has no idea what he's doing. Because if you have all the money in the world and you can go and appoint a manager, you surely have to go, right, we ain't competing at the moment, but I tell you how we do. We go and get someone who knows how to win, i.e. one of those managers I've just said that has a CV that says I win wherever I go, and I give you £1 billion to go and spend on players that are ready now. Not that are going to be ready in 5 years, not that are only 18, 19 or 20, that are going to take 4 or 5 years to together to try and win you something, that are going to be able to win you in a couple of years. And I honestly do not understand what this guy's doing, because he is basically acting as if he hasn't got all this money, because he's buying in young players that might be all right in a few years' time because he can't afford to go and win now. It makes absolutely no sense. And to me, the scouting is just like, what's that? Oh, Mudryk, Arsenal want him. Go and get him then. I mean, well, they want like 90 million. Yeah, that'll do. He must be good. Like, it's just crazy who they bought. I'm looking at the team tell and I'm thinking, where is this £1 billion gone? It's absolutely terrible.
That's another Glazer comparison. We went for a period probably between 2016 and 2020 where whenever City were linked to a player, we just went, yeah, we'll have him. We almost didn't. It was almost like we didn't have our own scouting network that were working towards the style that we wanted to play. And we just go and go, right, we'll go and sign a player that City wanted, and we'd offer more money to their club and we'd offer the player more money. And it was always a disaster. Of course it was, because the player didn't really want to come. They came for the money. They then weren't really suited to how we were playing football. You know, we bought Pogba for Jose, but he was an LVG signing as an example. And we did that continuously. We would start working on deals ahead of time, but then by the time we got the player in, a new manager was in, and it was a different style that was suddenly being played. Chelsea are a genuine mess right now, and I think Chelsea fans, some take it as like an insult, or you're attacking my club, I've got to defend it. For me, it's not about attacking your club. To a degree, I'm trying to help Chelsea as best we can by having these conversations, because I do care about how our football clubs are run. All our clubs really and truly come from local working class people that built them, and they've become global icons to millions of people around the world. They should be run right. And at the end of the day, I always have to hold my hands up here because I take a big L on this. I really thought Todd Bowley and co, with everything they briefed the media, with the way, and look, a lot of these Chelsea in the know journalists have also got a little bit of blood on their hands because they have continuously pushed the positive narrative about the club. They know what they're doing. They know the direction we're going in. People shouldn't worry. And they've got it wrong. And listen, I bought into what those journalists were saying. I thought those journalists had a little bit more integrity. Well, okay, it makes sense. They've got all these plans. It's going to work. And that's why now these journalists are all saying, listen, don't listen to the financial experts. Chelsea have got loads of money. They're going to be absolutely fine. They're nowhere near FFP or profit and sustainability. They're grassing themselves up every 5 minutes for all these different problems. There's a big fat elephant in the room, and Chelsea fans are ignoring it, and they're going to get sat on. They're going to get sat on. Wayne here says a rumor has it that Todd Bowley is tanking the season to get a high draft pick. That's actually funny. I think Poch is a mid-table manager, but Chalobah is the only player that played the EFL Cup final 2 years back. Is there any manager that would have won with big squad turnover and an average age of 22?
It's the way that they lost it, Zane.
Yes.
For me. So that is a fair comment. Because obviously Chelsea, what I'm hearing is, oh yeah, but it's not Poch's fault because look at the way they played in the 90 minutes. And yeah, Chelsea played okay in that 90 minutes. There was a couple of poor performances by some of the players, but they created a few chances that they really should have scored. It's the way that they lost it. That's not really on the players. It was on the manager. The manager tanked the game. He completely killed the game when he took off Nicholas Jackson, in my personal opinion. Yeah,
Do you not think as well, LB, that like this discussion we're having, right? It ain't because of Sunday. That's just one part of what's gone wrong at Chelsea since Poch has gone there. It's not like Chelsea are fifth in the table and they didn't win the cup, so oh my god, he's got to go out.
Yes.
Chelsea are struggling to get into the top half of the table, and we're in March nearly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 110%. I think that's right. It is the manner, and I know it's a hard thing sometimes. It's in that extra time period, as young as that Chelsea team were. Again, I'm quoting Gary Neville here, so I don't want to plagiarize and act like it's my thought. There was only two players who 100% you would say would get into that Chelsea team, and that was Van Dijk and Luis Diaz. Yeah. The rest of the players remaining on the pitch for Liverpool, it is debatable whether Chelsea fans would put those players into their team. Liverpool fans would, but it's debatable if Chelsea fans would swap them. And even the young players that came on, this will trigger Liverpool fans. I'm not meaning to. If you look at the bench, all the youngsters that started on the bench, I bet 50% of them don't have Premier League careers. I bet one or two of them don't even have championship careers. It's not as though they're playing these youngsters. Chelsea's youngsters are young players that have been tipped to be stars. Liverpool's youngsters are only there because of injuries. None of those Liverpool youngsters, in my opinion, are a part of the plans at all at Liverpool. They're not. They're only on that bench because they had 8 first-team players out. And we've all had big injuries at our clubs at some point this year. Yep. None of us have had 8 of our best players out for a game. Like 8 of your best players all out for a game is ridiculous. And to lay down as men and to have your belly tickled like that by Jurgen Klopp. I don't know what's worse, that or having a man feed you meat in a restaurant. I don't know which is worse for me. But yeah, it's a crazy one. Yeah, Poch has got to go, and it looks like Chelsea are looking for a new manager. So, but viewers, let us know what you think in relation to that one. Please do us a favor and hit the like button as well. 3,000 people tuning in, which is amazing numbers for a Tuesday afternoon. I want to shout out, though, a new podcast that I am launching with. I can't reveal who it's with yet. That is under wraps, but it's a new podcast. It's called The Squad, that's launching on YouTube very, very soon. Go and subscribe to the channel now. The link's in the description. It's in the live comment section, or you can scan the QR code that's below me. I'm very excited about this podcast. It's going to be going out weekly. And me and another, everyone knows him. He's another YouTuber, but it's the first time that we've ever worked together. So that's launching very, very soon. So go and get yourself signed up to The Squad right now, so you are ready when that drops. Staying in London, but back to the Premier League, gents. Arsenal. Are they the best in the league right now, LB?
Yeah. Yeah, but you didn't think I was going to say that, did you, Gooners? You know what I mean? Yeah, no, they're definitely the best team in the division at the moment on current form. They're blowing everyone away in the Premier League. Still a little bit of work to do maybe in the Champions League. I was probably slightly the only sort of like negative, really, that Porto game. But yeah, man, like, listen, they're just blowing teams away. Their goal difference is the best out of the 3. You know what I mean? Newcastle, and I know Newcastle are not the same Newcastle as last year, but they've not lost a game in 4 matches. And I know they were also conceding goals as well, but Arsenal just dusted them to one side. Really, it was so easy for them. They got Sheffield United on Monday. Jesus, man, I'd be worried if I was a Sheffield United fan if the way that Arsenal are playing at the moment, that could be a heavy beating. And it's not like Sheffield United have not got form. I think didn't someone put? I think it was Newcastle. Did Newcastle put 8 past them or something like that? So they're absolutely slamming it. They're under pressure as well. They're doing it under pressure because, like my team, City and Arsenal, we need to win all our games. We ain't really, got the room to make any mistakes and drop points. City and Arsenal, we can't really. City had 1 with Chelsea. That's pretty much as far as we can stretch it. Maybe we could draw 1 more. City. Arsenal are probably under slightly more pressure than City because they're a further point behind. And I don't think people realise. Yes, there's 12 games to go. That's not long. Yeah, before you know it, we'll be down to 8-9 matches, and then really you're struggling. You know what I mean? So Arsenal are slamming it at the moment, and fair dues to them. They just need to keep it up because they're under pressure. Arsenal, like City are, we need to win all our games. We ain't got that money in the bank. Like Liverpool have got a little bit. You know what I mean? They're a point clear of us. They're 2 points ahead of Arsenal. Yeah, so big up to Arsenal. They're doing well.
Do you understand, LB, why Arsenal fans don't see eye to eye with you?
Not when I've just praised you and just said you're absolutely slamming it. You're the best team. You're slamming them. You're going to absolutely demolish Sheffield United. Sheffield United fans should be worried. And you're doing it under pressure.
No, but you get my point. Like, I'm not saying why they should or shouldn't. But why do you think they come for you? Because there's a lot of Arsenal fans that speak to me like, LB, he's like, he hates Arsenal on your show, hates Arsenal on the Terrace, hates Arsenal on this.
Because you can't accept criticism. So, like, I'll say, oh, yeah, you'd slammed it, but, shocking result really important. Oh, you hate... I don't know. You tell me, bro. I've just literally praised Arsenal. What more can I say about Arsenal there? I said, you're smashing everyone. You're tearing apart Newcastle. Sheffield United need to watch out. You got the best goal difference. You're the best team in the top 3. And you're doing it under pressure. What more can I say? If Arsenal fans want to say I've got an agenda or I hate Arsenal after I've just said all that, there's really not much else I can do, bro.
You don't hate Arsenal though, right?
Why would I hate Arsenal, bro? When I was growing up, my team wasn't as relevant as other teams, yeah. And United were going head to head with Arsenal. I was backing Arsenal.
You weren't relevant at all, mate.
Yeah, I know, but come on, Terry. I'm trying to fucking come on, man. No, like I backed Arsenal growing up, bro. They played football the right way. I like watching Arsene Wenger's football with Thierry Henry. I was backing Arsenal to win over United. So why do I don't have any sort of rivalry with Arsenal. There is nothing there. There's never been any big beef between our clubs. On the pitch, we've never really had any sort of like major issues. There's nothing there. So you tell me.
Would you rather us win it than Liverpool if City don't?
I don't really want either of you to win it.
No, but one of us has got to win it. If it ain't City, who would you back?
It's both disgusting. Because I don't want Arteta.
There's no rivalry with Arsenal. You got more of a rivalry with Liverpool, surely.
No, because I don't want Arteta to win it. Yeah, and obviously
you like Arteta? He was at your club.
Former assistant manager. I don't want him to go there and then win the league when he was previously an assistant, and then he goes and wins it over Pep. I don't want that to happen. But also, I don't really want Klopp to win it in his final year. So I'm not really that bothered. Like I don't want either of you to win it, but like I don't have a favourite as to which one I'd rather win.
You must have a favourite.
Not really.
But it's got to be Liverpool, isn't it? Because you and Liverpool and City, even though the cities are generally despise each other, you man love each other. Like Klopp and Pep, it's not really a rivalry. It's a bit of a mountain bromance type thing. Like you and Liverpool proper love each other off.
It's the worst rivalry in history.
I know, he's smiling. You know when you say to a guy, you know when you say to one of your mates, do you fancy Claire? And they go, no. That's what LB's like trying not to smile there. You love Liverpool.
I don't love Liverpool. Looking at that. And to be fair, there's actually a little bit of rivalry between them two. You know what I mean? We've had it before with the fans, you know what I mean? Clashing multiple times. There is a much more heavily rooted rivalry.
A lover's tiff.
Maybe a lover's tiff. The managers get on. But listen,
do.
I don't. Pat says get off the fence. I am on the fence, but like I don't want to jump off the fence either way. I want to stay on the fence, man. You know what I mean? So listen, not for me. I don't really have like hatred for either of them. I just don't want either of them to win it.
You're up against Liverpool. If it was Liverpool or Man United that were challenging it, who would you prefer then?
Then I'd prefer Liverpool to win it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Fair enough. Dan, how impressive have you been with your Gooners? Because I know the Porto game was awful and they were rightfully criticised. But in the league, which is a different competition, and you know what I find really ironic? People say, "Oh, you can't take Arsenal's league form into the Champions League, Terry, because it's a different competition." You go, "Oh, fair point." When you say, "Oh, the league form's brilliant, isn't it?" Yeah, but what about the Champions League? Well, I thought they were separate. 1 minute they're separate, the next minute they're not. But yeah, you guys
great point.
Right now, nobody looks like they can beat you.
Yeah, we're demolishing teams, bruv. We're absolutely demolishing them, and it's great to see. And I'm here for it. I've got to give Mikel Arteta an amazing amount of credit. Do you know what? I said this earlier. Since coming back from Dubai, I've got to give the coaching staff and Mikel Arteta the most praise I ever have done in the last 4.5 years. And I'll tell you why. Because this is the first time I've ever looked at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta and saw him change something that wasn't working and not be stubborn to stick to it and just say it will just keep working. Because I've said this before, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, all those managers, they tweak things, but they make plan A better. They don't completely revamp stuff. But I have seen stuff at Arsenal completely revamped in the last few games, and it's working. Set pieces. Someone has identified Declan Rice to be put on set pieces because they've realised that actually he's technically gifted in certain other areas that really he hasn't been given credit for. He's taking corners in dead ball situations and it's working. Our set pieces, some people are saying, is like a penalty. It's crazy how good we are at set pieces. We scored 19 times this season from set pieces. Phenomenal. Gabriel and Saliba, a threat. Ben White, Jakub Kiwior, Havertz, Rice. These are all players that are big, physical players that can actually get in and around people in the box, right? So that's definitely improved. Kiwior before against Fulham, we lost. Against West Ham, we lost. He was playing as a left back. It was terrible. He was trying to invert. He was absolutely dreadful. What he's done now is he's gone, you can't do that job. I'm going to change it. Ben White, you're now inverting on the right-hand side. Not only has Ben White come into his own, Kiwior looks good as a left back, and he's actually playing more as a left centre back when he inverts to put Gabriel in the middle of the three now, which is looking even better. The other thing that's happened, Kai Havertz isn't really a midfielder, does look better up top. He's now interchanging it with Trossard. So him and Trossard in and out of possession are sometimes players of 4-4-2, but they're definitely closer to each other. When Havertz has been asked to play in the 9, he's looking good there because some of his attributes actually further forward do him a lot of good. So he's changing things up now, Mikel Arteta, and we are destroying teams, mate. And it weren't long ago that we were going to Luton and Brentford and Palace and places like that, and we were scraping over the line. Last minute Havertz winners, last minute Rice win against Luton, last minute Havertz win against Brentford. We held out 1-0 at Palace away, 2-1 at home to Forest start of the season. It weren't that great. It was a bit shaky, and we were getting across the line that way. And people were going, Arsenal winning, but I ain't convinced. This ain't going to be sustainable going forward. Now we've got those same teams. Palace, stick 5 past them. West Ham, 6 past them. Burnley, 5 past them. Newcastle, 4 past them. Let's not get it twisted and say that we didn't scrape over the line against Liverpool. We dominated the whole of that game and beat them 3-1. That's a very hard team to beat. No one else has done it. So Mikel Arteta and the coaching staff deserve a lot of credit. And I'll end on this. Nicolas Jover, by the way, who we took set-piece coach from Man City. Wow. Props to you, bro, because what you've done is you've put every single team on alert when Arsenal take a set piece now, whether we're defending from one or whether we're attacking from one. Because Arsenal at the moment in set pieces is unreal, mate. And I've been really impressed by it. Will it continue? Of course, we've got question marks, man. We have cluster of results. Arsenal have little clusters. 2 seasons ago, it was West Ham, Brighton and Palace. Last season, it was West Ham, Liverpool and Southampton. This season, it's been West Ham, Fulham and Liverpool. Let's hope that's the only cluster we have because we've got a hell of a lot of games to go that are going to be difficult. We have got to go to the Etihad. We've got to go to Old Trafford. We've got to go to White Hart Lane. And we've got to win at those places as well, by the way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's without forgetting that we've got to go to Wolves and Brighton away, which are difficult this season. So there's some hard games to come for Arsenal. But the way we're playing at the moment, long may it continue, man, because it's a joy to watch, man. And like you always say, Tel, we're scaring teams at the moment, bruv. We're scary.
You guys are scary. And it's I've just been at peace with it for a long time. Morpheus here I hope you're well, Morpheus. It says, big up, Dan, for finally giving Mikel Arteta credit. Great show.
Listen, I give him credit and I criticise him, but only when it's deserved. I criticise him when he deserves it, when he dumps us out of competitions that I think we should be taken seriously. I give him criticism where we set up tactically and we get overrun. I give him criticism where I feel that he has underachieved as a manager, just like I do players. But when he deserves credit, 100% I'm there to give it to him. When he has been tactically spot on, fair play to him. When I'll give him player ratings, whenever I do that, I'll give him a 10 out of 10 when he deserves it, and I'll give him a 1 out of 10 when he deserves it. I'm no different with what I was with Arsene Wenger, George Graham, Unai Emery, players likewise that have come and gone at Arsenal. When players and managers deserve the respect and the credit, they get it. When they deserve criticism, you can do it. I know this says that I support Arsenal, but I can criticise the team as well, yeah? I can criticise Chelsea, United, Tottenham, just as I can Arsenal, because I love football and I watch football. And when things go right, I'll give 100% credit. When it goes wrong, I'll tell you why I believe it's gone wrong and who I think's to blame. And sometimes, yeah, that has been the manager, for sure.
Do you know what's interesting about criticism? I find criticism is a part of support. You always know when it isn't real criticism and it's hate because the goalposts get moved every single time. And I know you don't do that, Dan. There are some people that are like, do you know what? If the team does X, Y, and Z, I'm going to praise it or get behind them. They do it. And then actually, but it's because of this nuance or because of this, I'm not going to get behind. That's where it becomes about hate. But whether it's supporting the football team, running a business, bringing up children, like there has to be an element of criticism and an element of, tough love is the phrase I would use at times to help get the best out of them. This year from Harold, who's from Norway, says, if Man United don't win, I don't care about the 4 in a row for City or the 21 Premier Leagues for Liverpool. I don't want Liverpool to win because I can't stand them. City because I'm indifferent to them. I want Arsenal to win for Odegaard, obviously, as a Norwegian.
Big up, Harold.
I do care about the 4 in a row. I care about the 21 as well. But the 21, it's much easier for Man United to at some point get 21 league titles than it is to do a 4P. And maybe it's because we did the treble first in England. And for years, that was just such a great accolade to have that no one could touch. Now City have also got one. I don't want someone to have an accolade. We had the 3-peats and we had 2 of them and nobody else had that. We were the first team to do the double-double, to have 2 FA Cup and Premier League, like league title wins. No one ever done that until we did. And having these records and having them first, I think so important. So yes, City doing a 4-peat, the likelihood of us ever witnessing that again is exceedingly low. And it's a record. And I think a lot of people are indifferent to City because they're hoping they get found guilty. If they're not found guilty, I think suddenly people are going to stop being so indifferent to them. I really do. So I'd rather them not have the records. Yes, it'd be fun to see it be stripped, but I'd rather not take the risk. I'd rather not take the risk, mate. I really wouldn't. This is why Arsenal are so hated. Always victims.
Who's that directed at? Me?
LB, I reckon.
Me? What did I say?
Well, I think they're saying that like you guys are acting like. Do you agree, LB, that Arsenal fans act like victims? Is essentially what I thought that.
I don't think victim is the right word. I would say that they really struggle to hear people criticize them. As do most fans, to be fair. I struggle to hear people criticize my club. It is what it is. But like, I feel like even when you're being kind to them and generous about them, like if you say something bad about them, like not all of the fans, but some of the fans will be like, just come for you, even though you've just praised them. As seen before. I wouldn't say victims are the right word. I don't know. But I think all fan bases have it. I do think all fan bases have it. And
yeah, I agree.
You got at the end of the day, Arsenal have got a massive fan base. So you are going to have more of those type of fans. It's just the way the world works, isn't it?
Spurs are like it as well. I'm not saying this because I'm Arsenal. Maybe I get this more because I am an Arsenal fan. But Spurs are like it. You give them a little bit of an inch, they'll take a mile. And Arsenal are the same. There's a section of the fan base that you'll say, "Oh, Arsenal looking good, aren't they? I know. Treble's on, innit? Whoa, calm down. I just said you were playing well." That's what happens with some section of the fan base. They get so extreme. And it's like, just calm. I only said you played well, man. Like, let's just have it right. You're playing well at the moment.
I grew up around a lot of Spurs fans when they were doing nothing. And it used to confuse me as a kid. They'd sit there and talk about their teams and with exactly the same word. And maybe this goes on now a little bit as well. They talk about their team and their club in the same way the teams that are being genuinely successful do. And I think, how are you using the same language?
It's
How can
bizarre.
a team be winning titles, challenging for titles, winning trophies, and they're talking about great teams, excellent play, wonderful players, world class this, and then you hear Spurs fans talk about their club and their team, and they use the same words. And for me, like the language matters. Like, so I know some things like what's world class. There's a clear debate around the definition that's needed. But when you say, "Oh, my team's great," no, you've got to genuinely be great. Like, I don't even put Arsene Wenger into the great manager category because I believe you have to win back-to-back league titles and/or a Champions League to qualify. And that isn't to dig him. It's like, I feel like there's got to be, and we had a big debate on this, and someone said maybe I should change my word from great to like legendary or something. I'm like, well, maybe I can do that, but the premise still remains. Like, we've got to have a standard you've got to achieve. And when I hear Spurs fans say they've got a great team, but you haven't had a great team since the 60s, bruv. It's as simple as that.
100%.
You haven't had a great team since the 60s. Lads, what's your thoughts on what Rio said about Arteta, that he would join Man United? He would quit Arsenal and join Man United 100%.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Based on what? Based off of what? Why would he join a club like Arsenal, which right now are a stable football club who spend money, by the way? It's not like Arsenal don't spend money. He's got a team that is competing for the title 2 years on the trot. Why would he go to that mess? Why would he go to the mess that is Manchester United? Why would Klopp go there? Why would Ancelotti go there? Why would Pep go there? Why would anyone with a good job at a good team go to Man United right now? Why would you do that?
I can make an argument.
Okay, you can make an argument. I'll try and rebuttal it then. Go on.
So I totally agree with you. It would be a huge risk for anybody, and it is going to be a huge risk for anybody because it's been run like crap for over a decade. But if I'm sitting there now and I'm Sir Jim, I'm Brathwaite, I'm Omar Barada, you're sitting down, you're outlining. I'd be very, very candid and very honest. These are all the mistakes that we have made. This is now what we're doing to rectify it from an internal point of view. And we want you to be the coach and the manager that helps us drive this forward. You will, because if you are the person that helps reignite Man United back into title races, back to winning trophies, back to being consistently competitive, the level of fame and what that does for your CV, in my humble opinion, is bigger than what you would get for doing it at any other club in England, maybe barring Liverpool.
Okay.
So I think you can set that. I'm not saying Arteta would go. I don't think he will personally, but I do think Man United is still an attractive proposition if the new ownership are able to demonstrate exactly what they want to do and how they're going to get there. And I think by the appointments of football people we've made so far, I've got a good amount of confidence that we could get there with, ironically, the right coach.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. But the reason I disagree with that is because whilst obviously United are a bigger club than Arsenal, Arsenal are not a small club. Arsenal are a massive club. And what you just said there about the respect and the fame that you'll get for doing it at United, the same will apply at Arsenal. If Arteta wins a Premier League title or goes on to win a Champions League at Arsenal, bloody hell, they'll probably put a statue outside Emirates, mate. It's been 20 years. You know what I mean? So I don't think I know United is bigger than Arsenal, but I don't think the gap is big enough where it warrants moving to such a mess from a stable Arsenal base.
Yeah, so I don't think he'll. So I don't think he'll leave. And I agree with you. Winning at Arsenal is also huge. It's massive. I think but Man United is gargantuan, and that's not a dig at Arsenal. Arsenal have a huge online fan base, they have a huge global fan base, but even through our troubled times now, we still, because of how many more fans we've got, we turn over like 250, 300 million pound a year more revenue than them. That is all based on the fact that we have that many more fans. So I do, United are a much more famous club, listen, Arsenal are a very recognizable club. And what we're doing here is we're talking about elites. We're not talking about Arsenal small and crap. I still don't think he'll leave, but I do believe there's an argument there, not for Arteta. And some of the viewers are saying, no, he isn't going anywhere, but I don't think it would be Arteta. But I do think Man United with the new ownership could attract a top-class manager still. I still think there's the...
100%. Yeah. Sorry, Dan, you go on, man.
No, listen, that I 100% agree with. Manchester United will attract any manager in the world because they're Manchester United. I just think it's probably one of the biggest compliments to give Mikel Arteta. That Rio Ferdinand is looking at him as the guy to take over at Man United and going, he'll come tomorrow.
Yeah, but he also wanted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So
here we go. So this is my point. This is why this guy talks absolute trash. because he turned over a sheet of paper, signed the deal. Man United are back. Ollie's taking us back. Calm down, bro. Like, no, he's not. Yeah, let's just chill. Rio Ferdinand talks a lot of waffle. Yeah, Foden's world class. Saka isn't. Who starts for England? Oh, Saka. Foden wouldn't get in. Waffle. Absolute imbecile, right? This guy. So let's talk about the guy who's saying it is talking absolute guff, right? That's for a start. Manchester United 100% can attract who they want, but they will or should not go for a Mikel Arteta manager, in my opinion. They should go for a manager who's actually says a CV that says, I win. Yeah. And Mikel Arteta in 5 years has got one FA Cup. So why Rio Ferdinand is looking at that management and thinking that's what we need at Man United, I actually don't know that you do. Some people would. They'll look at, say, Jabi Alonso, let's just say. I know he wouldn't come to Man United, but that's the sort of bloke we want. A project for 4 years, get us all sorted. Actually, what Man United might need is a manager like Carlo Ancelotti, give him free windows and all the money in the world and go build me a winning side that competes with City in the next 2 seasons. So why Arteta would be even considered as a manager?
I agree. I listen. Like I've said, it's funny. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying Terry, but he wouldn't leave where we are for you. I mean, I don't know how many times I said.
No, you agree with that.
I literally said I don't think Arteta would do it. My argument, my thing was I could make an argument to LB's point why top managers or why up-and-coming managers would still join Manchester United. I wasn't challenging the Arteta situation. But to answer the question, some are saying that Man United are not that much bigger than Arsenal. Man United on average, so over 1 million shirts more per year. We're paid over £45 million a year more for our shirt sponsorship deal. Just look at on that basis, selling 1 million shirts more than you a year is astronomical. It's astronomical. It really is. Considering Liverpool sell and Man United sell at 1.8 million per year each. Real Madrid 1.7 million. Barcelona 1.6 million. Bayern Munich's normally around about 1.5 million. Arsenal's around 850,000. You're a giant club. You're a massive club. But I'm not. This is not disrespectful when I say this. The Man Uniteds, the Liverpools, the Real Madrids are bigger from a fan base point of view. And that's not me digging you guys out.
No.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I have not said at any point in this video that Arteta would leave Arsenal for Man United. I don't think he would. I also don't think he would take Arsenal to where they are now, on the edge of potential greatness, and then just walk away and join Man United for to start again from a beginning position. Now, if he'd been at Arsenal if this was 4 or 5 years' time, we're back to winning. He's won 3 or 4 league titles with you. Could it happen? Potentially, because there's not a barrier between Man United and Arsenal that there is between Man United and Liverpool and Man United and City. But I still don't personally see it happening. But yeah, just to defend my club here, as crap as we are right now, the difference in size is there is clear blue water between the two clubs.
What you're saying, Terry, is not just right because of what you're saying in terms of the size. People look at football clubs and go, "What the hell do you want to go there for?" That's fair. But then don't look at that, how they are right now and how they run right now and the state of the club, and then decide, well, now that's why Arsenal are now bigger than Man United, because that's not how it works in football, right? That's not how it works in football. Manchester City looks an unbelievable place to go right now. They're not as big as Man United. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the way it is. Man United looking absolutely
no, we are, and that's why, and if Man United get this structure rebuild right, and can show that to a quality manager, look, this is the place where you can thrive, we will get back to, at the very least, challenging. No one can guarantee winning league titles because we don't control how good everybody else is. But we'll get back to challenging. There's no doubt about that in my mind. There really isn't. And I nearly cried listening to Jim talk last week. Not because it was an emotional interview, but the amount of debates I've been in the past, and it's funny, everyone's gone really quiet with me on this, on socials, in the chat section. All the words he said are things that I've been screaming, and all the Ollie in, Ollie out, Jose in, Jose out debates. I'm sitting there saying, yeah, I get why you want the manager gone. But if we don't focus on the actual problems at the club, sacking the manager won't fix us. And the amount of times I've been called an Ollie simp or a Jose simp for saying it, and then the new ownership comes in and all the arguments I've made. It's like he stole one of my videos and just read it out. Some of the comments were almost verbatim. And I'm just so excited, not because I'm right, because that's still not proven yet, but because I'm not even smart on this. I'm just kind of parroting to a degree what all the other successful clubs are doing. I want my club to do it. Like, do you know what I'm saying? That's why I find it such a hard debate when Man United, even now, there are some Man United fans that just think that Ten Hag's the main problem, and once he's gone, it'll all be fixed. I just think you're mental. I honestly think there's something not, I don't know, maybe they were deprived of nutrients when they were younger. I don't know. Something happened, but they ain't thinking too good. Johnny Sincere says that's the case if you're having a Glazer mindset, treating the club like Disneyland and focusing on commercials. If that's not the case, then Liverpool is bigger than Man United, more trophies. Again, but I think the comparisons weren't about Liverpool and Man United. If someone said to me who's bigger at Man United and Liverpool, I still think we are bigger than Liverpool on a fan base scale. And the fan base scale can be measured in the amount of money you bring in from a commercial side of things. So I'm not celebrating the commercial element per se. It just proves you've got more fans, thus you're bigger. Bigger and better and bigger and successful are three different conversations. Arsenal are better than Man United right now, but not bigger. Liverpool are more successful than Man United right now, and they're better than us, but I wouldn't say they're bigger than we are. They're three different conversations. For someone who goes to preseason games, I can tell you that Arsenal are a lot closer to Man United than people think. Arsenal play Liverpool and United in the States next summer. Let's have that convo then. Bro, again, there isn't a conversation to have. Arsenal are huge. But when a club like Man United, who are in the doldrums right now, sell 1 million more shirts than you per year, it means we have more fans than you. It means we're bigger. I don't know how to say it. Yes, when it comes to like a stadium, if it's 100,000 seater, you'll have half the fans, we'll have half the fans. But again, there's a reason that my club's looking to build nearly 100,000 seater stadium, and your club, when it rebuilt, did a 60,000 seater. Yeah. Because that's not a dig. I'm not trying to dig Arsenal out here. I'm just stating.
It's simple for me, man. Arsenal are the third biggest club in England, in my opinion. Sometimes we don't act like it, but Liverpool and Manchester United are bigger. That's just the fact. I don't understand what the massive thing is. We might look at how we're playing at the moment and talk about a different thing. That's a different story. I said to debate who's better right now is different. It's like Man City and Arsenal. Man City are better than Arsenal right now. They're not bigger than Arsenal. So I'm saying it's the same with Man United and Arsenal and Man United and Liverpool.
It also depends on like how much, because this bigger thing, there's not a set rule base. So some people would put Chelsea above Arsenal because they've got 2 European Cups and you've got none. Now, granted, you do have 13 titles. They've got only 6, Chelsea. So, obviously, it doesn't even itself out. I'd say to have no European Cups is pretty bad for a club of your size. Yes, I can say that now after we won last year. But like, it depends on each individual sort of assessment and judgment of how you define who's bigger or not. Because I think Chelsea and Arsenal are very, very close. Very close. Now, obviously, Arsenal are got a bigger fan base. They're a bigger club in that sense than Chelsea. But Chelsea got 2 European Cups. That's got to count for something. They've been there, done it at the European success.
Yeah, I look at it in 3 ways. There's success or greatness, whichever one you want to use. There's big, as in how many fans you have. And then you have better in terms of who's better right now. Sometimes you get all 3 of those. Like if Man United suddenly were at the top of the league, had the most amount of trophies and were the best team in England, you'd have all 3. Right now, you look at City. City are the best team. They're the best of everybody right now. They're better than everyone, generally speaking. But in terms of, you're not bigger than most. You're not bigger than Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. And I wouldn't say you're not greater than at least 3 of us. Does that make sense? Like, so I kind of put it into that. I look at it in 3 ways. But people often use the word bigger, but I don't see it. That has to mean you have more fans for me. It's the wrong word to use. That language matters, I think, in this. You're better than us right now, but because there was a time for about 5 years where Spurs were better than Arsenal. But at no point in that time were they greater or bigger. They just weren't. They were better than them on the pitch, but they weren't bigger than them or greater than them. Right now, I would say that City are better than Real Madrid. But you're not greater or bigger than them.
No, I totally agree.
That's how I break it down. And I just think the language around it needs to be really simple and then it's easy to follow. But
I mean, I think there's definitely a question now when you talk about Chelsea. There's definitely before it was all a laugh at it. You can question it, but they're not bigger than Arsenal. They're not bigger than Arsenal. And that's not me saying it, because that's just me saying it.
Some people would say they're bigger than Arsenal. I think it's very, very debatable whether or not they're bigger than you, because I put trophies as a big thing, and the fact that they've got 2 European Cups and they're European known as winning the European competition and you've not, That's got
But
to.
you're not putting trophies though, LB. You've just said you're putting 2 trophies, not the 22 more than we've won of them. You're putting 2 trophies ahead of them
No,
just
no,
because
I,
of
no,
European.
no, I said that. No, I said that before. Before I said the fact that you've got 13 titles and they've only got 6, that clearly counts for something. And by the
But
way,
not
listen,
as much as 2 European trophies does.
well, no, because listen, I'm not saying that Chelsea are bigger than you, but I think it's extremely close. And I think if Chelsea maybe won another European Cup or won a couple more titles, then I think it'd be very, very difficult
Can I say
conversation.
something? I'm going to defend Arsenal here. I understand where you're coming from, maybe. There's 2 Champions Leagues are massive, and they're huge weight in the greatness category, and they make you a bigger team. But more than double the amount of league titles. Do you know how long that's going to, like, Arsenal theoretically, by the end of this season, could be 1 European trophy behind Chelsea, where it's probably going to take 20 to 30 years, looking at the current run rate, for Chelsea to get anywhere near their league titles. League titles are the harder trophy to win. And I think we'd all agree that league titles are harder to win, as an example. Plus, looking at Chelsea in the last 18 months to 2 years, since it's all been falling apart, I'm not saying there's been no media attention, but there has been nowhere near the same media scrutiny towards Chelsea falling off in this. Can you imagine if Liverpool or Arsenal or Man United or even were sitting 11th in the table, did what they spent £1 billion, the level of coverage that it would receive, I think, would be exponentially bigger. So I would say this. I think right now, as it stands, Arsenal are better. I think they're greater, and I definitely think they're bigger. Now, I'm not saying it's a country mile. I'm not saying it's Arsenal versus Burnley, but I do think Arsenal win in all 3 of those categories against Chelsea. The greatness area, because of those Champions Leagues, there is a closeness to it. But in terms of size and better right now, it's got to go to Arsenal.
By the way, I do think Arsenal are bigger than Chelsea. I just think it's very close. Very close. And like I say, I think if Chelsea won, the leagues is more difficult because I agree. I think leagues, they're way off the pace. And FA Cups, they're way off the pace. If they won 1 more Champions League, right, and had 3, do you know what I mean? That's the same as United.
Well, listen, I agree. I mean, in terms of, again, maybe we could create a subcategory. So you've got greatness. Maybe we split it domestically and European, because like maybe you do add that, like, maybe, and everybody can be on a European level. That area, Chelsea wins hand down. No gooner is going to argue with that, but I don't think we can disrespect 13-6 league titles, because that's such a huge goal.
Plus the size of the fan base. This is what I'm saying.
Yes.
You've got to take
Arsenal's fan base is. I would hazard a guess it. Like, Arsenal's fan base potentially globally there could be the same difference between Arsenal and Chelsea globally as there is between Man United and Arsenal. I do think there's a fairly big gap on that. Like, I remember speaking to a few friends of mine that are Chelsea fans when they went to Baku for the final, and they said they couldn't believe how many Arsenal fans were there in comparison to Chelsea fans. And that's anecdotal, and it's only one area to look at. But I do think they are. And that's sort of dig. Again, Chelsea, a good sized club, but it's been 20 years versus over 100 years. Arsenal have always been a big club, like Man United and Liverpool. They've always been some of the biggest ones. It's going to take the success can come, but that size for Man United, for Liverpool, for Real Madrid, for Arsenal, that's 120 plus years. It's just we're not going to be do you know what I'm saying? And even in the down times, it hasn't dropped off.
The easiest way to answer that as well, right? Because they'll be saying, if Chelsea won a Champions League, then it really would. If Arsenal won a Champions League, it's like KO'd.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Because for me, I accept that leagues, they're way off. FA Cup's way off. Fan base, I think they're way off. But the Champions League, like, especially around Europe, the Champions League, like, they just love it. When you listen to players talk, like Haaland, mate, all he ever speaks about is the Champions League. Ronaldo, all he ever speaks about the Champions. These players, they talk about Champions League. You know what I mean? The big clubs talk about Champions Leagues. So if you got a Champions League, I think then it really
it becomes not non-debatable. Liverpool sold 1.8 million, most shirts sold than any club. I mean, they did. Best-selling shirts last year of all Premier League clubs was Liverpool was 1.86 million. Man United was 1.8 million. So theirs was higher and whatever else. And I shudder to think what United would be if we actually started winning again. Because, I mean, I'm just one, but there's lots of people like me that don't buy the kits anymore. because we're protesting, because we're proper. Wink. Arsenal have 2 European Cups in 1970 and
You
1970.
can't class them as the Euro, same as the Champions League, man. Fairs Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup is not a Champions League, man. But I understand what you're saying.
But
We've got European heritage.
The Cup Winners' Cup in that era holds weight. It does. It genuinely does.
We've got 2 then, because we won that.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Cup Winners' Cup was because it only ever used to be the team that won the league in the Champions League, and then there was the UEFA Cup. But the Cup Winners' Cup, typically speaking, was harder to win. I remember listening to a documentary about this. I'd love to find it. It's archived somewhere. And it was a lot of old football heads that old now. They were like in their pomp at the time, talking about how difficult. And you look at the teams that were in the Cup Winners' Cup every year. Because a lot of the teams that were winning the domestic, the teams that win domestic cups typically are the teams that are finishing in the top 2 or 3, 4 positions in the league, the better teams. So what you would get, the Cup Winners' Cup was sort of like, was Champions League level back then, because it was only the champions of England going in. The amount of teams that win the Champions League that didn't win the league the year before is crazy. A lot of those teams would have been in the Cup Winners' Cup or the UEFA Cup in years gone by. So in previous eras, those European trophies hold a lot more weight than they do now. Steaua Bucharest have a European Cup. So do Celtic, Marseille, Dortmund. Would you say they are bigger than Arsenal? No.
No, but obviously Celtic are fucking huge.
Celtic, I was someone that was up for Celtic and Rangers joining the Premier League because I just thought it'd make the league bigger and better. But
I think the fact that they're in the Scottish League probably says no. But like, dude, every time I go abroad, Celtic shirts, man. Like,
they're everywhere. Nottingham Forest and Villa both have European trophies. Does that make them close to Arsenal?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the thing. When Chelsea got 2, so have Forest.
Yeah, but come on, man. This is what I'm saying. You have to apply different context levels.
Yeah, no, but I think that's what his point is. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
Measuring fan bases is like measuring penis sizes. Yeah, and like, listen, as I said, mine is huge. Man United are massive. Like, I'm saying.
I had mine artificially made bigger. Back in 2008, man.
I love that, man. Love that.
On my recent form, mine shriveled up a little bit, but hopefully we'll be back soon. Do you know what I mean? With that Ineos Viagra. I disagree, Terry, about the fan base, Terry, because 100 years ago, social media wasn't prevalent as 20 years ago, which has made a major impact on. Listen, I agree. Arsenal's fan base is huge, but the commercial deals are an indicator of how big your fan base is. If Arsenal had more fans than Man United, they would most definitely have bigger endorsement deals, bigger sponsorship deals, and sell more. Listen, you guys sell merch. You guys actually have so much better merch. Go on Man United's club shop. Go on it later and look at the dross that they sell. Arsenal have like amazing golf bags and all sorts.
Ours is the best, man.
And we still outsell you. So, like, I really appreciate the super chat. I don't want to make it sound like I'm shitting on Arsenal, because I know we live in a world where if I say my thing's slightly bigger or better, people go, you sound I'm rubbish. No, Arsenal's is huge. But if yours was genuinely as big as Man United, social media, you might have more followers. But there's a lot more people in the world that are not on social. Do you know there's more people in the world that don't use social media than that are on it? I think because we're in it, we think it's everything. But yeah, a lot of people don't. Decade of greatness versus a century of excellence. Decade of greatness versus a century of excellence. I mean, I don't know which one you're. Yeah, listen, it's a great point. Boys, I wanted to ask you a question before the end of the show. I go to Dan first on this. This was put out today. I saw it trending. Saka, Foden, Vinicius Jr. Start one, bench one, drop one. I'm going to go to Dan first on this. And viewers, I want to get yours in the comment section as well.
Wow, that's impossible, isn't it? Crazy. Okay. Start one, bench one, drop one. Vinicius Jr. is ridiculous, man. It's going to go down really well with Gooners, this, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to say...
Just say what you genuinely think, bro. Genuine opinion. Just to give you a genuine opinion, bro.
Okay. I would start Vinny Jr. I would bench Foden and I'd drop Saka.
Wow.
Turning his back on his own team.
Well, I've got to back my boy, but at the same time, when you get that put in front of you, and they've been killing it on the world stage, Champions Leagues, winning them and bossing La Liga, and my boy's still trying to start out.
Fair play, bro. I honestly did not think he was going to say that.
I can't sit there and lie, can I? I can't.
I
sit
did
there
not
and
think
go,
you were going to say that, bro.
I'm dropping Vinicius Junior, and I'm, benching Foden and starting Saka, like Igal probably would say. You just got to say it how it is sometimes, man.
You know what? I actually agree. For me, I think Vinny Jr. is one of the most underrated players in the world. Now, people say, what about underrated? He's not underrated. Yeah, he is, because he's never included in the best player of the world categories. It's always Mbappe and Haaland. I think Vinny Jr. is one of the best players in the world. If you look at his stats, compare it to what he's doing to Mbappe, and Mbappe's doing it in a French league, by the way, compared to what Vinny's doing in La Liga, constantly turning up in the big Champions League games, Vinny Jr. I think he's massively, massively disrespected. Massively. I think, yeah, Vinny Jr., Foden, Saka. That's what I go for. Big up Dan, man. Didn't I expect you to say that, bro?
I would start Foden, bench Saka, sell Vinicius Jr.
What?
Because see, I can't do that content where you lie. I start laughing. I was going to say because I was going to do the whole because Vinicius Junior is not prem proven, right? I can't even lie because I just start laughing. That's why I take my hat off to like those content creators who clearly say things they don't mean but keep a straight face, because I can't act. Do you know what I mean? It just comes straight. I tried to do it and I couldn't. No, I would honestly, based on it's a real hard one because I think they're all brilliant, but it would be Vinicius Junior, Foden, Saka. You're selling Saka through bated breath. Do you know what I mean? Why can't we just add like Anthony in there to make it easy? That would make it a lot easier. Do you know what I'm saying? But no, it would have to be Vinny.
Do you think that's wild then? Because a lot of the chat think I'm smoking weed now.
No. It's not wild because like we both agree, but like obviously we're all biased, right? So like a lot of Arsenal fans will back Saka over Foden, and some will genuinely believe it. Some will just back it because they're biased. But I think genuinely that is the three. And
that could change in a couple of years' time. I hope Saka balls it on the big stage, and you look and you go, Saka's never had the chance.
Last week that maybe. Sorry, Dan. Just quickly, I said this to you last week, which a lot of Arsenal fans didn't really understand. So let me clarify. Now that Arsenal are in the big time Champions League and you get into the knockout stages of the Champions League, this, and you alluded to this a minute ago, this is really where Saka will start to earn massive, massive praises. And he's suffered from this in these debates, in my opinion, because you've not been playing Champions League.
There we go.
Yes.
And you know what?
Like you say, in the next couple of years, you'll have a better.
To put it easier for people, right? Would we have said Vinicius Junior, Mbappe, Bellingham last season? Everyone would have dropped Bellingham. Now he's able to do it on the stage because he's at Real Madrid and he's balling out and he's doing it in Champions League. And now that might be a different conversation. That's where we're at right now with Saka because he hasn't had the chance to do it on the stage like the other two.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And normally when you do, again, everyone takes the sell part as disrespect.
But it
isn't, because for me, I think all three of them are anywhere between world-class talented to being world-class. I think they're all in that category. Saka just hasn't performed yet in title races and Champions League runs, like knockout runs, which the other two have. He doesn't have them. He hasn't been influential in the major trophies that the other two have. That's the only element that's missing. If this year Arsenal won the Premier League and the Champions League, I'm just playing hypotheticals here, that becomes a very different conversation. And if Saka is influential in that and has scored major goals, it becomes an almost impossible task, because then you're looking at three players that are so close. But that element Saka just doesn't quite have yet. Like what they should probably do with that is throw Mbappe into the mix or something along those lines, because it makes it even harder. But someone here says stupid comparison, Saka better. That's fair. If you think he's better, then that's absolutely fair. Aya here says, I hope Arsenal win a major trophy so we can have a proper discussion between Saka and Foden.
Exactly.
Saka is severely underrated looking at his stats since playing left back. Not saying Foden is crap, but Saka is insane.
Thing is, when you say this, oh my God, they don't rate Saka. Dan thinks Saka's crap. I'll get that now. That is not the question. The question is, out of those three unbelievable players, which one are you dropping? Which one are you benching? And which one are you starting? That is ridiculously hard. Some people might sit there and go, what? You're putting Vinicius Jr. ahead of Foden? Oh my God, you're insane. It's people's opinions, man. I have to say, out of those three players, Two of them are absolutely killing it and balling it in the Champions League and the league. And Saka hasn't had the opportunity yet. So I have to, by logic, put him as the one that I drop. I don't want to. I'm a good
By the way, Dan, Mbappe gets not to the same degree as Saka, but he gets tainted with this brush at the same time because he's at PSG. How many times do we hear people say, well, until he goes to Real Madrid and does it in the Champions League and does it for Real Madrid, anyone could do it in the French league? How many times do we hear that? And I know it's different scale of what Saka's getting right now, but players get judged more when they're playing for titles in respected leagues, playing knockout football in the Champions League. So yeah, I think you're spot on. I think the Saka debate will become a lot easier in 18 months when he's had 2 years in knockout football Champions League.
Yeah, I get what you check Vinicius and Saka's stats. Real Madrid PR is serious. The thing is, Saka statistically is so strong and so good. Yeah. But what I've seen Vinicius Jr. do, I've seen him deliver in a Champions League knockout run and be such an influential part in winning that trophy, especially in some of those games where they were done. In the season where they knocked out PSG, when they knocked out Chelsea, they knocked out City, then they beat Liverpool. They shouldn't have done that. But he stepped up in pretty much at least each one of the legs in each round. He was influential. And when you do that, it weighs different. But listen, I think Saka's going to be tremendous in this title running. And he's already started doing it now. And what Saka's done the last few weeks, he doesn't have to do that every game. If Saka continues that through these last 10 to 12 games and Arsenal win the league title, and I'm not trying to condescend here in case it offends anyone, but you will see exactly what we mean. Because as much as you love Saka now, if he delivers in those games and it wins you a trophy, you're going to feel a different way about him. Liverpool Spurs fans will always sit around and go, no, my striker scoring goals to win me a trophy wouldn't make me love Kane more. It would, but you don't know because you've never seen it happen. You don't know. I'm sure you growing up, LB, when you weren't winning anything, the way you feel about players that go on those crazy runs in title runs, it feels different to players that were just doing it to give you a good time on a Saturday. It does to me because I'm going through it in reverse. I grew up through that. Now I'm getting it the other way around where none of the players in the last decade mean anything to me compared to the previous generations that were winning me trophies. And it's because they're not as good, but it just means more for me. But maybe I'm wrong. I
also think, just quickly, the Saka and Foden comparison thing is a weird one. And I'll tell you why. Do we compare Kevin De Bruyne and Mbappe? No. Because they're playing different positions. So why are we comparing two players that play in different positions? Because from what last time I know, Foden doesn't just play on the right wing. He plays midfield, right wing, left wing. He plays in different positions. He plays across the front three. He probably plays an attacking 8. So why do we compare the two? I don't get it. It really makes no sense to me. I understand if you're comparing Saka and even Rashford, who plays on the other side, or Saka and Jack Grealish or something like that. I understand because they're both wingers, right? Why has Foden and Saka got this comparison? I don't get it. It's bizarre. It really is odd. I don't get it.
I think it's because Foden also does play in wide left and wide right in the attack as well. I think the issue with it is Foden hasn't ever had just one set position, and the Foden Saka talks only now come up again because he's playing in those like wide inside forward roles, if that makes sense. So, Terry, FYI, I asked to meet with you on my visit between the 7th and the 17th of March because I enjoyed the channel. I'm turning 70 and going to games at the Emirates and Old Trafford to celebrate.
Big up, man. Big up.
Listen, bro, if we can arrange that, if I'm about, I just honestly, it's hard with kids and the businesses and stuff that I run, but we can arrange that, my friend, and we'll have if you drink, we'll have a pint. If not, then we'll have a cup of tea. Arsenal has 50% more trophies than Chelsea. Come on. That's a big stat, Jamal. That's a big stat. Liverpool 0 Club World Cups. Why? Because hardly in it.
What?
Club World Cups.
I think I mean Club World Cups.
Yeah, it must mean Club World Cups. Must mean that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a slightly shorter show today than normal because I've got to go and pick my son up. Because I'm on single dad duties. Their mother is away. So I've got to go get him. Otherwise, he'll be sitting there crying, lonely all by himself at daycare. So I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. Please hit the like button before you leave. Go and check out and subscribe to the squad. It's going to be an amazing, brand new, never seen before podcast that's launching soon with a very, very special guest indeed. So scan the QR code or click
on the link in our description below and go and get yourself signed up. LB, Dan, always a pleasure to speak.
Yeah, big up, lads.
Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll